Thanks for joining me. Today in math, instead of learning something new, I thought that we would review something that we have already learned. Reviewing or practicing things that you've already learned is really good for your brain. It's kind of like working out or exercising. The more you practice something, the better you're going to get at it, even with your brain. So let's review today some ways to measure. Measure. What does measure mean? Well, measure is a mathematician's word for looking about how much or how little of something that an object has. What are some ways that we can measure? Wow, I heard some great ideas. Here were some of my ideas. Well, we could measure height. Height is how tall or short something is. Like, this building is taller than the flower, and you would want to measure that in height because buildings and flowers both stand up. And we can also measure height around us. Like, what is taller, this lamp or Miss Watling? Now, I don't need a special tool to figure it out. I can just look and say, oh, the lamp is taller because I stop, but the lamp keeps going. So sometimes you can use your own body or other things around you to help you measure. What's another way we can measure? Well, we can measure length. That's how long or short something is. Like, the green snake is longer than the red snake. It's kind of like height, but for things that you want to measure length are going to be laying down. So if you would want to measure the length of a paintbrush, because it sits like this, and you might want to compare it to a marker. Which is longer, the paintbrush or the marker? Now, you'll notice that I'm making sure the marker and the paintbrush start at the same spot. Because if they don't start at the same spot, it might make it look like one is longer than the other when that's really not true. So you have to make sure they start at the same spot. For length. How else can we measure? Well, we can measure weight. How heavy or light something is. Now, sometimes when you want to measure weight, you would want to use a tool like a scale, but you can also use your body to help you with this. Like, I can use my body to tell me that this book is much heavier than this rag. I can just tell because look how my body reacts. My hand wants to go down. Well, this hand is fine because it's not very heavy. But for some things that are really hard to tell, you would want to use a scale. What's one last thing we can measure? Temperature. How hot or cold something is. We can use our bodies to do that too. Like, go over to your refrigerator and stick your hand in. How does it feel? It's probably a lot colder than the room you're around. Now, if you were to go into the oven, it would be really hot. But don't do that because ovens are way too hot. You can just tell when you open it and stand back from it, you can feel the heat. That means that it's much hotter than the air around you. But sometimes we need a special tool. And to measure temperature, the special tool we use is called a thermometer. And it looks like this. All right, friends. Now it's going to be your turn to head on over to Seesaw and show me what you know about measurement. I want you to look around your homes and find things that you can measure height, length, weight, and temperature. I can't wait to see what you guys come up with. Have fun!